Good morning. I am the Moon Mama. How's everybody doing today? Today's Monday, and Monday's the day governed by the moon, and the moon is currently void, of course, and will be void until tomorrow morning at like 5 a.m. So we're going to be in a big void today, which is pretty significant. Void moon is when the moon is not making any aspects with any other planets. So it's a very internal energy. It's like just being the moon being by itself for a duration of time, like not connecting with any other celestial bodies. And so we have this very internal experience, and the moon is void in Gemini. And the governing planet of Gemini is Mercury, and Mercury is currently in the completion of its shadow. So we have this Gemini energy, which is governed by Mercury, in the very last days of the last hours, minutes of the shadow, and we have gone into a void. And so there's this opportunity for us to go inside of ourselves, like to spend time internally. And it's the Gemini energy is very, what do I want to say, sort of schizophrenic is what it thinks this, it bounces around. It's not a stable energy. It's a very highly frenetic mental energy. So your thoughts might be all over the place. You might feel anxiety. You might not be able to get centered. That's just the frequency of the Gemini energy. And then Mercury coming out of retrograde, Mercury's in Pisces still. So you might be feeling a lot of things and just not able to catch a real centering in it. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. There's a lot going on. I woke up today feeling just some very old energy up for me, feeling a sense of, I got into a conversation yesterday on Facebook. Let me start here. I got into a conversation on Facebook about Tiger King, and I watched it like the first day it came out, just because I just thought, oh, let me watch this. It looks so interesting. And in watching it, I discovered that I was like, oh, this is the American dream for white men. This is like this idea that white men can come and do anything they want in America. And if you haven't watched it yet, it's interesting. But it's about these men who have tigers and who are like having like personal circuses and personal zoos and doing all sorts of things that just seem out of character for anyone who's normal. I don't know. It just felt crazy, right? And so I said something in my social media and on Facebook that said, like, now I finally understand the brains or the thinking of American white men, like this need to conquer and own and have domination over things. And it feels just like, slavery. It feels just like what happened to the natives. It just feels so similar to what goes on in this country. It feels like Trump to me in many ways. And then everyone else is just kind of subject to it. And so I had 3 white people come and say that, and sort of defend themselves. And it struck me because I realized that in this country, as a black person, we've often been piled in together, bundled together, so that if, like, for instance, when George Bush Sr. ran for president, he used the Willie Horton ads to scare white people, like, because white people have often been afraid of black people just because of who we are, and we're not doing anything. But you can just use language that creates this identity to scare white people, and then they get afraid. And I remember as a child always feeling like whatever one black person did, that implied me as well, that I was somehow implicated in that. And so if I saw Black people being criminals on TV, that felt like my reality. And I realized that white people have a privilege that they don't do that. So just because one white person does something that is insane and harmful to everyone else, they don't buy into that like that's them. And so I've been with that through the evening of like, wow, what does it feel like to really be independent and to be a full human being on your own and not be dumped in or linked in or categorized with other people just because you have the same complexion or the same economic ability to leverage yourself or not, or the same gender or any of those kinds of things, like how to be true to yourself. And I see, and I've been feeling and seeing through the night just how challenging it is to be unique in this world and to be true to yourself, and how we impose and project our fears onto others. And I do it myself. I've done it myself, and so I am looking at the ways inside of myself where my own individuality or the individuality of others is usurped. And and what's the value of that? Like, where are we sovereign and where are we connected? Where do our actions really not only harm ourselves but others? And then where are our actions just only our own experience? And this coronavirus is such a fascinating thing to me because, I'm watching our country and our world be like pillaged because of something that could be handled so much more gracefully. And just because we really misunderstand how we function, how we truly do impact one another, we really misunderstand what our real power is. We don't use it. And our real power is in our thinking. Our real power is in knowing that what we believe to be true about ourselves is really the gift here. And so I was so triggered in this conversation because there was a white woman who basically kind of said I was being racist by saying what I said. And it really, I felt like if I was a fire-breathing dragon, I would have scorched her. And that was interesting to me. Like, my anger around the illusions that white people are safe or that they haven't done incredibly damaging things in this country to very innocent people, and that when someone calls them on it, they project it back like it's not their responsibility. And so I get to look and see where that is inside of me, and that's the energy of the Gemini moon. It's duplicitous. It's duplicitous. Gemini energy is tricky and duplicitous and confusing and scattered. And I have a Gemini moon, so I understand it personally. And then it's like really being able to ask, well, what's mine and what's not? And the answer to that is always interesting because really all of it is mine and then all of it is not. Like, everything exists everywhere. And so I encourage you, while we're in this Gemini energy and the energy is void, to just rest in every possibility. Like, just watch the scattered thinking and don't try to do anything about it. Just allow yourself to calm down. Just allow yourself to be scattered and all over the place and just let it all be okay. Don't resist anything. That's the best I got today. Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm the Moon Mama.